Okay, so with the SolsTiS and its accessories unboxed, I can now move the SolsTiS and its accessories on the trolley over next to the optical table. Again, I'm just making sure the space between the trolley and the optical table is free of obstructions and that there is sufficient space on the table and no debris on the table where the SolsTiS will be placed. So it's simply a case of removing the blue wrapping around the SolsTiS with two hands, one on each side. Just gently lift the SolsTiS, get your fingers underneath and lift the SolsTiS up. And then very slowly and carefully, placing the SolsTiS on the edge of the table, like so. Moving your fingers, allowing you to place the SolsTiS flat on the table, and then slowly pushing the SolsTiS in towards the centre of the table. So for the next step of the installation process, we're going to reference the SolsTiS against the Equinox. Now, even though this process is relatively easy, it is extremely crucial that this is followed correctly. This will determine whether your installation is straightforward or more challenging, so please pay careful attention to the next step.
The Equinox has a referencing edge here and here, forming a 90-degree angle. And there is a corresponding 90-degree referencing corner on the SolsTiS baseplate, which you can see here. The goal is to bring the SolsTiS in towards the Equinox and reference this edge flush with this edge, and this edge flush with this edge. The crucial point of note is that you need to make sure that there are no visible gaps between the Equinox and the SolsTiS baseplate on both referencing edges. At this point, you would then clamp the SolsTiS down onto the table. There are 6 clamping points on the SolsTiS, 3 here at the front and 3 on the other side. A good tip is that when you are clamping the SolsTiS down with your driver, try to put pressure on the SolsTiS in this direction at 45 degrees. This will stop the SolsTiS from slipping on the table. Once this process is complete, double check that there are no visible gaps in between the Equinox and the SolsTiS baseplate. With the SolsTiS referenced against the Equinox and clamped down onto the optical table, you then need to close the beam tube located at the input of the SolsTiS pump integration kit. This will prevent dust from dropping into the Equinox beam. So taking a 1.5mm driver, you can loosen the set screw located here, and then taking a thin object such as a knife, push the beam tube in towards the Equinox until it sits flush against the Equinox, before locking with the set screw. These before and after photos demonstrate how the beam tube should look before and after this process.